Ugh. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome to a new video. In today's video, we will be talking about the latest album from Mike Posner titled Keep Going. As I am currently filming this album review right now, Mike Posner is beginning or on or in the middle of a journey from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. No, not on, car or by bicycle. I'm pretty sure it's by foot. I probably should have done more research before talking about it. But amongst all of that, he decided to put out a project again this year. I didn't expect him to release another project this soon since he just released A Real Good Kid back in January of this year, which I reviewed. You can go check that out if you want, but let me give you the rundown of that album. 2017 and 2018 had been a tumultuous year for Mike Posner. He lost Avicii and his father, and also he was in a relationship that ended pretty poorly. So all of this led up to a very cathartic album that is A Real Good Kid. I, for the most part, loved that album, and I thought that it was such a raw and emotional album. It was very impactful. It was very meaningful to Mike Posner, and it definitely shows on a good amount of songs on there. A couple tracks do have this very radio-friendly appeal to them, but I also think that the inconsistency of the album adds to its raw aesthetic. So I didn't expect him to release an album this year. Mixtape, I'll get to it. But it's here, it's right here, and I really didn't have expectations for it. My expectations, obviously, how is this going to top one of his best albums, A Real Good Kid? So I wasn't really expecting the greatest thing in the world, but my god, I didn't expect it to be this bad. You start the album off with an introduction track, like most of his albums. It basically describes, listen to the album completely, listen to it completely, no interruptions, no distractions, and if you can't devote 52 minutes of your time, then please don't listen to this album at all. I humbly ask you not to listen to this album at all. First of all, don't tell people what to do. They don't like it. Secondly, how pretentious do you have to be to tell people how to listen to your album? Surely that's not a bad thing, but to devote an entire track on an album to just that makes no sense. At least with A Real Good Kid, the introduction track had a point, it had a purpose. It tied in the theme of the album together. It made sense. But all you're doing on this introduction track is you're basically saying, if you don't have time to listen to this album, don't listen to it at all. Fuck you. Let the people listen to this album how they want to listen to this album. Surely there are artists that don't do that, but I mean, it's an album, for God's sake. He also explains in this introduction track that it's a mixtape and it's 52 minutes long. Well, that's not right. It's 46 minutes long and it's an album. That's very consistent, but you will find there are a lot of inconsistencies on this album as a whole. For one of the songs features a line whereas I was a little Jewish kid. And then later down the road, he says, my mother grew me up as an atheist. I don't know what kind of metaphor that is. I don't know what kind of simile, whatever. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I mean, religion is a theme sometimes on Mike Posner's work, especially on this album is the song Amen, which is also another song off of A Real Good Kid. The actual first two tracks of this album, Come Home and Noah's Ark, very much tie the album together, again, with the religious theme of Noah's Ark. And what I will say is that these are a good start to the album. I like the anthemic sound that both of these songs have, like a chorus is singing in the background. It's very nice, the production's well thought out. But the problem that is absolutely the only thing consistent about this album is the songwriting. By golly, this is probably one of the worst albums in terms of songwriting Mike Posner has put out so far. Not only is it inconsistent, but it's pretentious, it's arrogant, and it's very egotistical. On the track Slow It Down, he pretends to be like this messiah, be like the saint, basically saying God's talking to him. He's being very philosophical, and it's quite annoying. Also, I love the line that's, I'm a saint disguised as a pop singer. Wow. Also, this is so tasteless. My dad died, my horoscope ain't in sync. I could go on countless examples of just the bad songwriting on here, but there are a few good glimmers of songwriting that actually mean something. Mike Posner has a knack for writing catchy hooks, or at least just catchy verses in general, but very rarely do they ever pop up on this album. What really does pop up on this album is how bad he is at rapping. Yeah, he raps on this album. On the track God's Lottery, he does his really worst Logic impression. The only thing this track has going for it is the featured artist, which is a quite obscure artist. This album also features one of the worst songs I've heard this year, Prince Akeem. Wow. But not only does Mike Posner show that he is a bad rapper, Wiz Khalifa also comes in sounding pretty normal, but yet delivering a really bad verse. Too rich to ever fit in, you wait in front, I get in. You talk too much, I listen. You blind, I got the vision. Yeah, not only are there bad lyrics from Posner, there are also bad features on this album. Very mediocre features from Ty Dolla $ign, Wiz Khalifa. You also have these weird sage wisdom from blank, and it's like Steven Tyler, Diddy, E40, and even his mom was on this. I don't know what's worse, having a really bad album where you have poor lyricism, or the features don't even care about being on your album. As ironic as it is, I think the best feature on this entire album is Logic. Yeah, I know. And despite his recent output this year, as excruciating as that is, I don't really mind the feature that he puts on the song Fun Up Here, even though some of the lyrics are just not that good. I mean, can't see these haters like a bird box. I mean, really the only thing this album has going for it is its brevity. It's 16 tracks at 46 minutes in length, and it kind of whizzes by you, even though sometimes some songs are excruciatingly long, like the track A Lonely Night in Mexico, really long title that I can't remember the name of. This is one of a few 5-minute tracks, the other one being Amen, which is a very somber song talking about a fan that died. I'm not going to go too much into detail on it because, one, I don't really know the background of it, and two, it's not the worst track on here. Quite frankly, it's one of the better on here, and I think it's one of the few times Mike Posner is actually kind of being introspective for once on this entire album. It's not a terrible track, but it definitely does need a little bit of work. And what else needs work is the production on this album. Good God, is the production bad. You have very rudimentary trap instrumentals that are on this album. God, you can't even have like creativity with this. There are a few times where Mike Posner does say that he's making the music he wants to make, and if this is what you want to make, wow. It's one thing to not care about chart performance, as another to make really boring music that puts you to sleep and makes you aggravated at the same time. I just find myself extremely disappointed with his recent output. I really was hoping for him and rooting for him on his next album because A Real Good Kid was such a great album, was such a cathartic album. I thought he was going to take time to himself and put out another good project, but no, he puts out Keep Going. Bland, very half-baked, and very underproduced project mixtape that has no depth. From an artistic standpoint, this is such a regression from what he did on his last album. I am absolutely disappointed in Posner. I really thought he was going to pull through with this. Ugh, gosh, this is just really up there with one of his worst albums to date. And I mean, he's made bad albums. He's made a few bad albums, but it's impressive that you can pull through with one of the best albums in your career and one of the worst albums in your career in a single year. Here's some advice for anyone, really. If you're gonna be making an album, make it consistent. Make it worth something. The one thing that I don't like is that he pretends to be so important on this album as if he's like the best thing ever. Like, no, you're not. Stop being so pretentious. He also manages to make every problem go back to himself, as if every problem does go back to yourself. Like, no, you have external problems. Yes, you have internal conflicts, but these are mostly caused by external problems that you cannot control. And you think that you have a problem that can be resolved if you just thought differently. Sometimes you need to realize some problems can't be fixed, they can only be learned from. With this album mixtape, it just seems like such a regression from what he was doing. I am absolutely disappointed. It's so half-baked, it's so incoherent, it's not consistent at all, and it's D+ worthy. Really. It's poor. It's a poor album. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this album down below. Let me know what albums you want me to review next, and that is it. Leave a like, comment, share, do whatever you want. Mike Posner, keep going. Until next time.